All right, so we'll go from the beginning of May to the end of June. All right, um, and then I'll speed through. I plan to speed through. Hopefully, I can figure it out how to do it. But I plan to speed up so you guys don't have to just sit with me looking for a trade. So that way, I would just speed up to the times I do take trades, explain why I took the trade, and then so you can kind of see my thought process through it, and then how I kind of use my top-down analysis and all the way until I enter the trade. All right, so let me get started. All right. Now, so the reason I took this trade, okay, so we're on the 1 hour. So let me just start from the beginning. So I did my top-down analysis. As you all can see, I didn't really draw any zones. So I got down to the 1 hour, and the reason for that was because I just kind of just used my eyes, honestly, and really seen that there wasn't really anything. So pretty much what I do is with my eyes, I just as if I'm drawing the lines, but I just look where I would put them, drop down to the next chart, look where I would put them, and then once I drop down to the hourly, all right, so we had the zone, I believe it was, I want to say up here at first, and down here, and then I dropped down to the 15, and then on the 15, the zone that we were in was between this we're within this range, right? And then what I seen was when I seen price. Hold on a second. All right, so I seen price on the hourly. All right, so we closed below on the hourly, and since we closed below, I was waiting for price to make that top wick, which it did, which was right here. All right, and then I was waiting for a pretty much a fake out. All right, so the fake out is when price comes up. All right, so I already know that we have tested this level on the 1 hour, and every time it tested it, it came back down. All right, so once it hit this level, I put my buy stop. I believe it was, I want to say, let me see where I had it at. Okay, yeah, so I have my buy stop at this high here, or sell stop. I had a sell stop here. So I have my sell stop here, and then I was waiting for, once price tapped in, I was waiting for price, 'cause I knew price was going to drop down, so I was waiting for this candle to close because I felt like this was such a big stop loss. All right, and then let's say if price did kind of reverse on me, all right, I kind of would have just used, which I don't recommend doing, a imaginary stop loss. I probably would have closed out right here if price did reverse. But once price did close, this candle closed, I put my stop loss here. All right, so my stop loss went here. Right, and then for my take profit, right? So I could have probably aimed for this high. That probably would have been the safest route. Or if since I only had one contract, that probably would have been a little bit smarter. But what you could have done as well is if you had two contracts, you could have closed one contract here, move your stop loss to break even. But instead, I kind of just looked to the left on the 1 hour, kind of see where price was at, and then the zones that we were rejecting off of, right? So I seen that we had this zone here, right? And then using the crosshairs, I was able to see where it lined up. So I knew that that was a zone that price would react to. So what I like to normally do is I try and set my uh, take profit maybe a few uh, points ahead of the initial target, right? Because how many times has price came down, got close to your take profit, and then it reversed on you for either a break-even trade, or if you didn't move your stop loss to a loss, or just you ended up having to close the trade a little bit early. So that's why I put my take profit there, and then was out of the trade. All right, so that was kind of my thought process on that one. So that's one win. All right, and let's see how price reacts to that zone. Yep, like I said. All right. All right, so that's one trade, that's one win, and now what I do is just move on to the next session. All right, no need to take another trade when we have up on the day. All right, so just so you can understand why I'm gonna enter this trade, I'll do it before I do enter this trade. All right, so I'm gonna have set my I set a sell stop. I'll do two contracts. All right, so that way I can start leaving, closing a little bit early, leaving a runner. Honestly, I mean, this is an iffy trade now that I look at it. Only reason why I would say it's an iffy trade is because if you look on the 1 hour, all right, so we have the 1 hour candle close, right? And now what I want to see is that next candle on a wick up, right? So it'll create a new support. So as you can see, or new resistance, as you can see, that's what it did, all right? So it created a new high. And then after it creates that new high, we want to see the next candles with a little bit of displacement, right? So obviously it shows that sellers are in the market and we're pushing to the downside, all right? And then we're going to enter on the high of that previous candle after that candle closes, all right? So we want to enter on the second candle, this candle, right? But now the only thing that I'm kind of worried about is this move would have been perfect if we were more so up here, because we have this a little bit of clean range, or let's say if we were more closer to up here, because we would have this clean range. So all this range right within here is clean range, and then same with all in here right there is clean range as well, right? So with this trade, we're kind of already at the end of the clean range, and we're kind of approaching another support level, all right? But let's just see how this trade plays out, all right? And I'll probably put my stop loss at the, if I do get tapped in, all right, so we're probably not gonna get tapped in. All right, so we're probably not gonna get tapped in on that one, all right, which honestly works out in our favor, so let's keep going. All right, so my thought process behind this trade, all right, so I'm seeing how the previous 1 hour candles have been respecting this support zone, all right, so I'm expecting to see this candle respected as well on the 1 hour. So it created that top wick, so now I want to see it break this low of the previous candle and possibly continue on to the downside, all right? And then if it does, we'll probably take profits about right here, close the contract, move it to break even, and then just let it play out from there. So let's kind of see how this plays out. And let's see if it comes back down. Oh, it's not coming down. Boom. All right, there we go. All right, so my thought process on this trade. All right, so we are kind of out of the New York time zone, but that's fine. All right, so just so I can start showing you guys a little bit more setups, because we're not going to get every single setup in the New York session. All right, so we had this is the zone that we were in. All right, so we had the 1 hour break through that zone. So now what I was waiting for was a pullback, right? So I wanted to see price on the 15-minute create a new low, so a new support, and that's what we got. All right, so how that looks on the 1 hour is pretty much this single wick down right here. So this wick is these two candles. All right, so that's how you kind of align it with the higher time frame. So once you see that, once you see the hourly create a lower wick, that's on the 15-minute, is 9 times out of 10 is creating a new low, so a new support, right? And then I wanted to enter on the break of this candle. All right, now we did have, it did tap that candle, and we did have some drawdown, right? So normally you would want to place your candle, or you would want to place your stop loss. The stop loss was actually in the right spot, but since it was such a big stop loss, um, I would it would have been smarter to put it right here. It would have been a loss, yes, but it would have been a smaller loss, as if price were to go through here and then take us out, we would have been in the negative. So I would rank this trade probably a 3 out of 5, only because we could have adjusted the stop loss a little bit better. All right, but so we broke that, had a little bit of drawdown, right? I didn't expect price to break that low on that candle if we were truly going to the upside, so that did help. And then as you can see, price shot up, right? I have my take profit here because if you scroll to the left, we had this low here, right? And that's kind of where price was kind of reacting to. If you draw it all the way across, you see how price is reacting to that level. So I was expecting to see some reaction to it as well, right? And we got there, and price came down a little bit, moved my stop loss to break even, right? And then let price do its thing. Had one more contract on, price went up, hit that zone, and as soon as it hits that zone, shot back down. All right, and then that our take profit for that one was, let me double check. Should be it's not done this. All right, anyways, it should have been one of these. Oh, there we go. Yeah, all right, so boom, it was this high right here, right? So I was looking for the next high, and again, I put my take profit a little bit, couple points under, so that way I know for a fact that it does hit it, and then I don't get retracement and taking out the trade a little bit early. All right, so that was the thought process behind that trade. So we're 2-0 right now, and it is the 6th of May. So I think that's we're 2-0 so far on the first week. All right, let's go to the next. All right, so that was a quick loss. It was a fake out trade that I was expecting. Um, now I probably should. Honestly, I know I shouldn't have taken this trade, but it would have been a good example to explain. So as you can see, price is respecting the zone. All right, so we had this on the 1 hour. We had this wick up. All right, what I should have done, what I mistakenly didn't do, I should have waited for this candle to close. All right, and then I could have entered on the next candle, and then expecting that next candle to come down and fill this range. All right, so a small loss, it's totally fine. Let's see how this actually does play out. All right, so and then also what I could have done is I could have put my stop loss at the previous candle high, because if we are truly going down, we shouldn't break this previous candle's high. But I just personally felt that it was too big of a stop loss. So I was perfectly fine with taking a small loss. But let's see. Yep, and there it goes. Let's see. Boom. Yep. All right, so good lesson. So always want to try and place your stop loss at the previous candle. All right, but again, sometimes that the stop loss may be too big, and if that's the case, then either just drop down a contract or just jump onto micros. Either one works. But this would have been a good trade. All right, let's move on to the next day and find something else. All right, so thought process behind this trade. All right, so we obviously had the 1 hour. We had it break through this 15-minute zone that we had. So the 1 hour broke through it. All right, so we had a strong move to the downside. All right, now this is a very risky trade. Obviously, you could tell. So I was waiting for on the 1 hour for some pullback for price to create a new support. All right, so we definitely had that here. So I could have entered. Honestly, I was right. Yeah. So entered on the high of this candle. All right, so we got tapped in here, and then price came back to right, almost hit our stop loss. Right, so our stop loss, I believe, was here actually. Yeah, so we got close, almost got tapped out. All right, and then I think this is a good example of the benefits of having your stop loss at the previous candle. All right, because if price is truly moving in the direction that you think, it shouldn't break that candle's high or low. All right, so we had it there, and then price comes close, respects that zone, right, and then reverses, all right, and then took some profits very, very early, all right, because obviously I didn't like the way that price was moving, right, so I took my one contract off, moved my stop loss to break even, let it play out. We got tapped out for break even, and then we walked away with a $550 win. It's totally fine, all right. So if we wanted to, we could have kept trading throughout the day, but I'm gonna just call it a day on that one and move forward to the next trading session. Okay, let me talk you all through the top-down analysis and what I'm looking at. So obviously on the 4 hour, right now we are bearish on the 4 hour, all right, because we had this most recent, this is the most recent, or the highest high, the higher high, and then this is the low that created it, all right, and we had a break, all right, so we had a market structure shift, all right, so obviously on the 4 hour we're bearish, right, so I'm gonna just draw my zones. So we have one right there, all right, and then another one I'd put here, okay, and let's drop down to the 1 hour. And now on the 1 hour, all we're doing is just cleaning up the zone so we can get a clean range. All right, so I'm gonna place, honestly, we can keep that there, but I'll place the 4 hour or the new bottom range here. All right. All right, and now on the 15. On the 15, we can tighten up this range, because if you look to your left, we got all this clean range up here. All right, and then we have the most closest level of any type of support or resistance would be this zone here. All right, so we got this zone right here that we'd have to watch out for, and then we got a lot of noise down here. So I probably wouldn't, if price does break through here, I probably wouldn't take any trades. So all I'm looking for right now is just buys. All right, because we have clean range. Price should break through this and just keep going to the upside. We have too many possibilities of a reversal down here. All right, because if you look at all these lower lows that are down here. All right, so let's see how this, if we can find a trade and see how it plays out. All right, so we have price on the 1 hour. We have price close. We got a new candle open up. We had to create this bottom wick. All right, and now on the 15-minute, what that bottom wick is this large move down to the downside. Okay, so that's the bottom wick, or I'm sorry, this candle right here going back up. That is the bottom wick. All right, so let's see if it creates one more candle, and it created a new support right here. So this is the new support zone. All right, so we look for price to, on the 1 hour, to close on the new candle, create a new support, and then we're going to enter on the break of the high, enter on the second candle of the break of the high of the previous candle. All right, so if we go back to the trade setups, all right, so how that looks is right here. All right, so we have price retrace, creates that new support, then we have the break of the high entry. All right, we're going to set our buy stops right here. Price is going to tap us in, and then it should continue to move to the upside. All right, and then we'll have our stop loss at the previous candle. All right. All right, there's a loss. All right, so I should have taken, I should have closed right here. Should have played this out a little slower, so that way I could have actually reacted a little bit faster, but it's fine. So I personally think this was a good trade. We had the setup that we wanted. All right, so we had the price create a new support. I think what I could have waited on is with this candle, I should have waited for it to close above the high of this candle. All right, so we had a wick, a long wick, right? But it's fine. So I could have closed partials and then moved myself to break even right before this zone. As you can see, like I was saying, it's very good to start moving your take profits maybe 1 or 2 points before the initial target for reasons like this, right? But we did have the setup that we wanted, so price went up, came back down, it created a new support. We had the break of the high entry. Right now, all we needed to do was really just close off a contract, move our stop to break even. All right, so the goal is to protect the capital. All right, so this is a good trade though. I like this setup. All right, so let's move on to the next session. All right, so thought process behind this trade. All right, so I wanted to see a fake out. All right, so we were in the zone, looking at the 1 hour. Let me go back so I can see where am I. All right, so yeah, looking at the 1 hour. So we can see that price is respecting this is, resistance zone. All right, so price is respecting this zone. All right, so I seen that, and then I was looking down on the 15 minute, right, and then the reason for my entry is I want to place it at the low of this candle because I knew that price was going to respect it, and then if we did break this low, then we should continue to the downside. All right, now again, with this, you would just have to play around with your stop loss and your contracts until you find a position size that's reasonable with your trading plan, right? So just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to contracts on everything so that way you guys can see where I may take partials partials at. So with this one, I just let the trade play out and just move my stop loss to break even because where I was going to take partials at, I was just willing just to close out that whole trade. All right, so I took it obviously I must take profit here at this level, right? So the reason why is because this is where a zone that price was reacting heavy off of, so I knew that once it did come here, it should react again. So I just wanted to take some profits, clear some profits, and then just get out this trade. All right, so this is a very good setup. Now this is the fake out setup. All right, so we have it right here. So we have price breakthrough, right? As you can see, we have price wick up, price broke through, right? And then we wanted to enter on the break of this low, right? So we have it right here, break of the low entry. That's where we set our sell stops, and then we ride price down to the bottom, right? Stop loss at the previous high. Again, like I said, you can adjust that depending on how much you're willing to risk, all right? So that was this setup, a fake out, right? And then that's one for the day, and then we're on to the next session. So I believe so far we are, let's see. Okay, 4 out of 6 is good. All right, let's talk you through the top-down analysis again. So right now we are bearish on the 4 hour. All right, so if we were to mark up our zones on the 4 hour, what I would mark up is this recent high, all right, and then also this low right here, our most recent low. So this is the range that we're in. We got clean range up here. Let's see what we got to the left, and a lot of clean range down here. All right, so I would expect to see price eventually drop down to these levels here, right? If we did break these zones, right? So we have these zones to worry about. If we break through these zones, we should clear up all this clean range down here. All right, let's take a look on the 1 hour. All right, so we can clean these up a little bit more. Move these up here. We can keep this zone down there. All right, and let's see what it's looking like on the 15. And we can clean it up a little bit more. Let's see what it looks like on the 30. I like the 30 a little bit better. All right. And the reason why I say I like the 30 a little bit better is just a little bit more easier to see. All right. So if you look on the 15, there's a lot of stuff happening. All right. A lot of stuff happening. And then jumping up to the 30, it's a little bit more cleaner. This range is a little bit more clean. So let's just see how this trade plays out. If we trade it off the 30, may drop down to the 15 as well, but we'll see. All right, so we got that price. We have a price close beneath the zone. All right. So let's see. All right, so let's talk about it. Okay, so we had the all right, so my it's right there. Okay, so we had the 1 hour break through our zone. All right, so it was the zone that we had on the 15 minutes. So I previously had it, I believe it was right here, right? But I seen that how price shot up, respected this zone. So that's why I moved my uh, resistance level back up here. All right, so that's why we were looking for buys if it went above there, and sells if it went below here. All right, so we had it break through on the 1 hour, it closed beneath. Right now, price broke through. Now, what I was looking for on the 15-minute was for a wick up for it to create a new resistance. So that's what it did here. All right, created a new high. Right, and that's what this wick is here. So it came up, wicked up, and then I had my entry. I believe it was, I want to say here, or I believe it was somewhere over here. All right, so it was either right here or I think it was right here, possibly. I don't remember. Anyways, it was somewhere over here. Right, so let's say this was the entry, right, and then we had the stop loss at the previous candle high, or at the high of that previous move, right, and then we got tapped in, all right, very little drawdown, so price just kept going. I had closed profits right here, all right, so my TP was right there, TP1, and the reason why was because if you look to the left, we had this right here, so I knew that price was going to come down there, tap through it, all right, and then maybe react off of it. So I just wanted to play it safe, take a contract off there, all right, secure some profits for the day, and then I moved my stop to break even, all right, once it hit my first TP, all right, and then I just let the trade play out from there, all right. I could have honestly trailed my stop loss and moved my stop loss here if I wanted to, but I was just trying to stick to the rules, put it to break even, let trade play out, and then close it whenever I'm ready to close it, right? Or if it does hit my TP, my original take profit, then that's awesome as well, which it did. So that was the thought process behind this. All right, now again, the setup on this one was this. So we had the breakthrough of the zone, price came back up, created a new high. All right, stop loss is at the high, and then our sell stops are at the previous candle low. So it's a break a low entry, right? And then we're just riding price down, right? So that was the onion setup that we had. So as you can see, so we have it right here. So we had the create a new high, and then normally you would want to have your place your stop loss right, or your stop order right here, but we placed it here because we got in a little bit late, which is fine, and then we rode price all the way down. Alright, and then let's see how price reacts once it gets to the zone, and back up it goes. Yep, so it's very important to take a look to your left to have a good understanding of where price may react at. So as you can see, where we were at was around that zone, so the low of this move here, and then price shot back up. Right. So let's move on to the next day. It's another win. This will probably be the last trade for right now. So let me just talk you all through this. So what I've seen, so on the 1 hour, it's another onion setup. So we had the range break. So we had this 1 hour, we broke through the range. All right, and let me double check 1 second. Okay, so just want to make sure that my entry was correct. All right, so we have broke through the range. We broke through the range. All right, and then so we broke through this range on the 1 hour, came down, created a new support here. All right, so we got this new support. All right, and then I entered on the high of this candle. I should have waited for this candle to officially close and then place my stop order there, or wait for this next candle to create a bottom wick, right? But kind of wanted to get as close to the actual setup as possible. All right, so we entered on the high of this, the break of the high of the previous candle, stop loss at the low of this candle. All right, so we did have a little bit of drawdown, right? And then price came down, almost tapped us out. But like I said, if price is truly moving in the direction that we initially thought, then it shouldn't break that high, the previous candle high or low. So that was another situation here. All right, so we moved up, and due to how price was kind of respecting this zone, once it got back up, I was like, I'm gonna just close one contract so I can make this a risk-free trade, and then move myself to break even and kind of just let price play out. And then I just was targeting this low of this move right here for my initial target for my TP2, which price eventually came up and hit. All right, so let's say if I were to leave a runner, let's see how it would have played out. And it would have played out in our favor, obviously tremendously, right? So it moves all the way up. So if you do want to leave a runner, you can for big moves like this, right? But it's very rare for big moves like this to happen. All right, so totally up to you. I'd rather have base hits, but I mean, if it's an A+ setup, you could possibly add on, let's say, 4 to 5 contracts, depending on the capital that you're playing with. And then if you want to close, let's say, 3 of those contracts and leave 2, then you can do so. And then this will be a move right here. But that's it for right now. Let's see where we're at. So we only took a few trades. But let's see. Loads. Okay, so 8 trades. I think it only did like maybe like a week or so. Let's see. Alright, so that's good. So this week, obviously you could tell we're not going to have a trade every single day, but as you can see, the benefit of just taking one trade a day, one trade, one trade, one trade, one trade. Alright, so obviously this will stack up. And then like I said in my previous videos, I don't really have a set risk and reward, right? So it's kind of just wherever I feel like the market would price will reverse on us is where I'll take profits, right? Or if I feel like price is kind of respecting a zone in the middle of a trade, I'll close a contract. But hopefully this is a good example of the setups that I take. All right, so again, we have the breakout setup. Now we didn't take too many of these. We didn't take any of these actually. Where price breaks to the zone and then we enter on that candle. You can do that, but for an extra confluence, I usually wait for price to break through and then come back and create that low or the high, right? And then we enter on the low or the high of that candle, and then we just ride the momentum to either the next zone or wherever our initial target is at. So that's the main moves that we were catching today. And then we also have the fake outs, right? So if their daily bias is bearish, and then we know that the 1 hour has been respecting the zone, right? It's been leaving a lot of exhaustion wicks. So we'll enter on the break of the low, ride price down, or if daily bias is bullish, we'll enter on the break of the high entry, and price will take us to the upside, and then we'll close our profits wherever we feel is necessary. All right, so hopefully that's a good example of a few trades with these setups. If you do have any questions, feel free to just comment, and then I'll respond as fast as possible. Peace.